And also, and we'll talk more about this later, you filmed in some of the most difficult regions in the world.
Yeah, I love difficult regions.
And I can't imagine that Namibia, for Mad Max, it was an easy location, although you say it was cool by the coast, but it looks like it was baking hot there.
Well, the coast there it's called the Skeleton Coast because it's very dangerous for boats. But it has a marine layer, rather like Northern California. So you quite often in the mornings you would have a nice mist come in. So you'd have a sort of almost British temperature. But if you got into your car and drove 10 kilometres inland, you were in the Kalahari system, which was very, very hot. And so, but everybody acclimatises over time. And we tend to kind of shrug all that stuff off because we're actually focusing more on the job at hand, which in the case of Fury Road was pretty considerable.
And you were on location for about 9 months. How was that, being
9
there?
months. Well, I loved it. I loved Namibia, and I find Southern Africa a very stimulating place to be for all sorts of reasons. But Namibia is one of the most, it's the oldest desert in the world. It's still a prehistoric desert with prehistoric life forms and plant forms. And the range of deserts there are amazing. You've got gravel flats that run for 50 miles, pure white, straight to a flat horizon. You've got some of the best sand dunes in the world. You've got canyons, you've got buttes, you've got such a menu of possibilities as a filmmaker, all within 1 hour's driving of a little resort called Swakopmund, which is known, we normally think of resorts as places you go when you want heat, but this is known for its coolness. Because all the South Africans nowadays go there to cool off.
And when you were going through this process, George Miller is, famous for Witches of Eastwick and a whole host of films, and he's going back to make Mad Max, which of course is the film that broke him in the first place. Was that a challenge? Was he very demanding? What's he like to work as a director?
Well, George first of all, he takes his job incredibly seriously, and he spent 20 years getting this picture off the ground, and in that time he really honed the story so that he knew every beat of that story. We didn't have a screenplay, which is unorthodox. We had over 4,000 storyboards. Wow. But everybody knew every beat of the story through meetings and discussions, and George would leave voice messages for everybody at the end of the day. When he was driving back in the car, he would record a thing and send that to key people. And we would sit and listen to this and sort of understand why he was taking a particular approach. So on one level, very, very determined. Didn't want to talk much about time and money. He was concentrating on story and performance. And I like that. I'd much rather have a director who's fighting for that than have a director who's saying, well, what do you want, or how can I do it cheaper? Then you just end up with a waste of time, and you end up with a movie that no one wants to watch. But with George, he's tough. You no doubt about it. You can't be a director of films like that without being tough. He was 70 years of age, which is extraordinary.
Well, he looks pretty good for that, doesn't he?
To make an old man making an action movie. It's great stuff.
Did you have to do, all those great sequences with the cars, did you have to do them again and again and again? Is he a man who does multi-takes? Is he also a man like Spielberg who has a hand in all the storyboards?
Oh no, he had a hand in everything. He had a hand in every single choice that was made about every single thing.
Right.
And he would look to surround himself by people he trusted, including me, by the way. He wanted to know that we cared and that we were listening and understanding why he would point out a particular small thing. Very Kubrick, actually, in some ways. Very different personalities, but from a filmmaking standpoint, he was that pernickety and that careful, and yet maintained a flexibility of opportunity. So I'm a great believer in organising yourself, say 75-80% of what you have to do, and leave the rest open, so that you can actually be capable of adjusting and seizing something that happens spontaneously. So a lot of the performances, there was very little rehearsal, there was a lot of mind setting, but very little sort of camera rehearsal. So that there was a spontaneity in those performances that I think comes across on screen.
And tell me about the music for the film. Was there a specific choice here? Did he have any particular criteria for what kind of music it would be? Well,
George has an admirable quality of not making his choices too soon. It can drive people like me crazy, because I'd love in a way to have all the choices made, but he kept music open along a long, long time. And the reason for that was he wanted to allow the movie making, the film itself, to speak symphonically, if you like. And interestingly, mathematically. He's very interested on the whole subject of the mathematics of this. And he wanted that to inform his choice and the composer's choice in terms of how to approach the music. And Tom Holkenborg, I think, has done an inspirational score. I mean, it's certainly up there with Morricone and The Mission. You know, it captures and enhances and extends the power of the image and the story.
Maybe we'll take a listen to this. You've got it here on your laptop.
I do indeed.